Hey there. Thanks for bringing us this material today. We're doing a deep dive just for you.
Yeah, great stuff.
You've shared excerpts from a YouTube video transcript from the Eclectic Scout podcast channel.
That's right. Their piece called Life is a Journey.
And it takes a really thoughtful look at, well, how we navigate that journey, doesn't it?
It really does. It's exploring themes like acceptance and healing and, trying to find meaning.
Right in the middle of all the chaos, the ups and downs.
Exactly. Life's inevitable complexities.
So it's not just watching the journey, it's getting into the practical side, the philosophical side of actually being on it.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to really dig into this perspective, pull out the core insights, see what resonates most from what you've brought us.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's unpack this.
So right off the bat, what jumps out is how this source views life. It's not a straight line.
No, definitely not. It's framed fundamentally as a journey of contrasts. Constant motion.
Highs and lows.
Joy and sorrow, yeah. Intense growth, but also, real challenges.
It's that constant mix. And the source points out, through all that turbulence, one thing is just undeniably true.
Life just goes on.
It does.
That feels pretty central, doesn't it? Whatever you're dealing with, the world keeps spinning.
The sun comes up again.
Yep. A new day. It brings that fresh start, new possibilities. A chance to try again, really.
Even if yesterday felt incredibly heavy.
Especially then, maybe.
There's a real, power in that constant motion. The source sees it as a sort of gentle reminder.
Yeah, like a reminder of our own resilience, of continuity.
And ultimately the gift of life itself.
Yeah.
Just showing up.
It's that background rhythm that just keeps going.
Yeah. And building on that, this perspective, it really pushes us to look closer, doesn't it?
At finding meaning, yeah. But not just in the big dramatic stuff.
Right. But in the small things, the mundane.
Exactly. Like taking a breath of fresh air.
Which sounds so simple. But they don't stop there. It's not just oxygen.
No, they frame it as inhaling opportunity, a chance for, renewal, rebirth, almost.
And gratitude.
Yeah.
Just for that simple act. It turns something basic into something, well, quite profound.
And drinking clean water, another example they use.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it nourishes the body physically, but metaphorically.
There's more there.
Yeah, the source connects the clarity, the purity of water to the clarity we're all looking for, in our minds, our hearts.
Ah, so it's like a prompt to purify our inner space while we're navigating life, which can often feel murky.
Precisely. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How much we just take for granted.
Totally. The source really emphasizes that life itself, just the ordinary moments, is a gift we often miss.
And if we just pay attention, there's this abundance right there in the everyday, waiting for us to notice and be thankful for.
It kind of shifts your focus away from what you don't have.
Towards what's actually present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so these small conscious moments of gratitude, they aren't just nice feelings.
The more fundamental.
This source presents them as actual practices, ways to stay grounded and find your way on the journey.
Okay. Staying grounded. Speaking of grounding, another key thing the source talks about is connection. The people around us.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely crucial. Our family, friends, loved ones.
They call them anchors. Right.
That's the word they use. Yeah, anchors.
That really resonates. Because these relationships, they aren't just passive. The material stresses how they work.
Right. They offer that essential comfort, connection, especially when everything else feels unstable or chaotic.
That makes sense.
And they point out that the love within these relationships, the love we give, but also the love we receive, that's one of the few real constants we might have.
Something reliable.
Yeah, consistently there to bring meaning, purpose, a stable point when so much else is shifting. It's not just having people.
It's the flow, the exchange.
Exactly. That exchange within the connection.
Okay, so we've got the journey's flow, finding meaning in small things, and the anchor of relationships. Now, the source seems to shift gears a bit, exploring where true strength comes from.
Yeah, and this is where it kind of pushes back against some common ideas.
How so?
Well, it says real strength isn't about avoiding the tough stuff or pretending everything's okay.
Or trying to be perfect all the time, which is exhausting.
Right. Impossible even. Instead, true power, according to this view, it lies in embracing life fully.
Including all the messy bits.
Yeah.
The imperfections.
Yes, exactly that. All of it.
That feels hard, though. Counterintuitive sometimes.
It does. The source admits, it's easy to feel strong or happy when things are good.
Sure.
But the real resilience, that deeper power, That's found when we can embrace both sides, the light and the dark, in our experiences and even in ourselves.
Okay. So life isn't about reaching some perfect state or escaping pain.
Not according to this. It's more about finding balance and accepting all the experiences that come, the beautiful, the difficult,
Joyous,
painful,
all of it.
all of it. Seeing it all as like necessary raw material for our own growth, our evolution.
Okay. And this is where it gets really interesting. The deep dive into acceptance itself.
Right. Because acceptance here, it's not passive. It's not giving up.
So how do they describe its power?
They call it a healing balm for the heart. That's the phrase.
A healing balm.
The idea is a lot of our suffering doesn't come just from the situation. It comes from fighting it, resisting what is.
That internal struggle.
Yeah, which is so draining. And when we stop that fight, stop resisting the present moment, that struggle starts to ease up.
Okay, but that brings up the whole issue of expectations then, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The source points that out directly, holding on too tight to how life should be or how we should be.
That's where disappointment comes from. Pain, even.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
Because those expectations keep us rigid, focused on just one outcome.
And being rigid like that, it closes us off.
That's the idea. It closes us off from what's actually happening now, and it can even stop us from seeing unexpected blessings or new paths that might open up, even from difficult times.
Yeah.
So the source contrasts that rigidity with acceptance, which they describe more like flowing with life as it comes.
So acceptance is surrender, but not resignation.
Exactly. It's letting go of needing to rigidly control everything.
Yeah.
And in that surrender, that flow, that's where they say a kind of peace can be found.
Okay, so there's healing in accepting our inner world, our circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
but then the source suggests that healing gets, like, amplified, boosted,
Yeah, not just by looking inward, but by deliberately turning our attention outward.
outward. How does that work?
Well, this is a really key shift in the philosophy presented here. It's about consciously moving from focusing solely on me, my problems, my pain, asking, how can I help? How can I serve?
Okay, but how does helping someone else help with my own stuff?
Good question. The material suggests that when you turn your energy outward like that, you start to, well, transcend your own immediate struggles a bit.
Get out of your own head.
Kind of, yeah. You connect with something bigger than yourself. You align with a greater sense of purpose. And when you actually engage in diving, in helping others, you're not just doing good out there. The source says you're also feeding your own soul in a really unique way.
Right, you get that deep satisfaction, knowing you made a difference, maybe just a small one.
Totally. And beyond just feeling good, the source suggests that by paying attention to others' needs, their experiences, instead of just being stuck on your own wants or hurts.
You feel more connected.
Yeah, you build a stronger sense of unity, interconnectedness. You start to really see how we're all in this together, navigating this journey.
There's that line from the source. In serving others, we also heal ourselves. That really sums it up.
It really does. It highlights that realization that we're not just isolated dots, we're part of a bigger picture.
Community, society.
The world, yeah. And finding joy and healing by contributing to that whole. That's presented as a really powerful path.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just thinking about the individual self.
Okay, so healing involves acceptance inside and extending ourselves outward in service. Is there anything else about the inner work the source mentions?
Yes, definitely. They suggest healing is also boosted when we actively try to integrate the different parts of ourselves.
Integrate, like bring them together.
Exactly, to see ourselves as whole, not fragmented.
What kind of parts are we talking about?
Well, they give examples like marrying the logical, analytical left brain with the intuitive, creative right brain,
Okay.
or harmonizing what they call masculine and feminine energies like assertiveness and nurturing, action and receptivity, qualities we all have regardless of gender.
And integrating darkness and light. What's that about?
That's a big one. It means acknowledging the difficult parts too, our past hurts, our shadow aspects, maybe mistakes or tough emotions.
So it's definitely not about denying one side or pretending it doesn't exist.
Absolutely not. The source is clear. It's about harmonizing, not denying. Seeing that our logical side and our emotional side, our ability to nurture and our ability to be assertive, they're all valuable.
And the darkness isn't something to be eliminated, but understood,
Yeah.
integrated.
Right. Understanding how those harder experiences or aspects fit into the full picture of who you are.
And accepting that whole picture, flaws and everything, that's where the healing really starts.
That's exactly the perspective they put forward. Accepting ourselves, flaws and all, is the starting point. They argue we're not just defined by one moment, good or bad.
But by the sum total.
Yeah, the sum of all our experiences, all these different facets, every piece contributes to the complex, unique person we're always in the process of becoming.
Wow. Okay, that brings us towards the end of our deep dive into this particular source. So pulling it all together, what's the core message here?
Well, this source really lays out a compelling path, I think, towards peace, towards healing, and it seems to hinge on a fundamental balance.
A balance between
Yeah.
acceptance and action.
Exactly. On one hand, cultivating that inner strength, that comes from acknowledging what is good and bad, finding gratitude for what you do have. That's the acceptance piece.
Being present with reality.
Right. And then taking that inner strength, that gratitude, and extending it outward through actively serving, connecting, loving others.
And that's the action piece, which expands your own capacity for healing and for joy.
That's the idea. The ultimate outcome they seem to point towards is allowing ourselves to really live fully, authentically.
In harmony with life's journey.
Yeah, with its beautiful complexity, embracing both the light and the shadow, as they say.
It's a really powerful framework to consider. So the source suggests that finding peace, finding healing, it really needs both, doesn't it? Accepting what is inside you and around you, and having the courage to turn outward, to serve and connect.
That balance seems key.
Definitely something to think about. For you listening, think about that balance in your own life right now. Which side of that equation feels more comfortable, more natural for you? Acceptance or action? And which side might be an area that's calling for maybe a little more courageous exploration? Just something to sit with as you continue on your own journey.
Please click like and then subscribe. Also share this video with your friends. Thank you.